He's channeling in the back of my head anyway.
Hi, Sebastian. And I think that's what we're starting with. Hey, buddy. So welcome to season 5, and this is the first episode of season 5, and we're starting right in the new year. Today, the day of this recording, with Miss Goddess Priestess Sharita Star, is the 31st. It's New Year's Eve today, and we're just gonna bring it raw and real and potent and just be in our vibe. And if this speaks to you, listen to the whole thing or take it in chunks. Just enjoy the hell out of this ride, because it's not meant to do anything other than entertain and stir your passion for living life. So without any further ado, Miss Sharita Star, thank you for joining me today on this very special day.
Well, thank you, as always, dear Nora. And it's actually under the cycle of the Venus retrograde. It's so fabulous to reconnect with you, because you and I have had a relationship for quite a number of years that began in Hawaii many years ago. And I couldn't be more grateful for you to remember me and also have me on for this. This is, hello, auspiciousness crossing the threshold of this intensified universal time going on the planet. Like, wow. Have you ever felt anything like this before in your life?
No, talk about rocket thrusters. I mean, what I am constantly in the energy of is choice. Like you can go down this path of hell and tumultuousness, or you can go like here and just like, it's like a trusting, a dropping into the mastery that we all have within us if we just listen and tune in. But I know people are struggling. It's not at all to minimize the struggle, right? And I want to hear from you. So everyone, Sharita is an amazing astrologer. She is a numerologist and also what's the word thing?
The word thing is lexigrams.
Lexigrams.
It's how we spell out the truth, primarily in the English language, although I have dabbled in others, and it's possible, but it works the best in English. So it's basically how words are coded. Really, there's a coding system, and this is called lexigrams, and this is what I wrote the book, It's All in the Name, about.
Awesome book.
Which is just some little examples. We know we're in an Earth Heart shift right now, very intensely on the planet. Well, Earth and Heart are the same exact letters. How do we truly evolve on our planet? It's in the word. Just look in the word. We have to love. There's no other way through the evolve. It's got to come from this loving energy. And
my heart just goes open to that.
And I love how you just said we can't minimize the struggle going on. Absolutely not. And that's what astrology and numerology is so delicious, to allow us to understand. Why is this happening? Because everybody asks that question in their life all the time. Why is this happening to me? Why? And then we have to go, but what is it teaching me?
Yeah.
What is this teaching me is the better question to shift your space to. Well, what's it teaching me? And if you're willing to be reachable and teachable, you're going to get through this experience of changing and leveling up what's going on this infamous planet we're tootling around on in our human suits, because the spiritual commitment we need and dedication that we need it's rising tenfold. And whoever's not on board with that, it is why they're going to struggle. That's the cliff notes of how I could wrap up 2022. And if you didn't want to get the memo in 21 about that, well, 22 will not ease up.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that, stepping more deeply into the spiritual commitment that you're talking about. And I think about this a lot, and I contemplated a lot, because I put a post on Facebook just yesterday, and the question that I asked in my post, I don't always ask questions, but the question that I asked was, is the word is the term surrender empowering or disempowering to you? And what's so hilarious is people respond, like, people really respond to that. And there's a lot of like surrender, disempowering, shitty word, yucky. And then there's people who are like, surrender is what it's all about. And it's so funny. And I don't want to take for granted, or like, honestly, I'm just curious what people are, I just felt called to post that. I guess I don't even really have any.
You and I didn't catch, because I was caught up in my own, what is this teaching me yesterday with, I have like some, my land is energetically having issues on my property.
Right? Really?
I have a pond drain off. I mean, this is from personal experience of what I'm trying to contend with in my life. I have a pond drain off pipe, like a big iron pipe that's been existing for 70 something years.
Wow.
It's always had airflow in it. No problem. Well, it's completely blocked right now, and my pond is not
draining.
Oh. So I am working with people who are clever, who have the savvy, which is not me, to be able to help. We have to figure out how to get the thing unplugged, and whatever is in this drain, it's perfectly blocking it, which is just so strange, because we're like taking bets, like, what do we think is in this iron?
Oh my gosh, let's have people whoever's watching this, if you want to participate, let's guess what's in the drain in Sharita's pond, because and the reward will be, you're just so totally tuned in, and it's fun. But I think it's really interesting, because I mean, the metaphor for that is super cool, right? Like, what isn't flowing?
What's not flowing? And talk about surrender. I mean, and I was writing about surrender. I think it was the day, I was either yesterday or the day before. I also wrote about surrender, because we have to surrender to reflection right now, because of all of the my specialty is understanding when we need to reflect in life and when we put our foot on the gas, because astrology, numerology is so, again, it explains the why. Why is this energy going on? Okay, well, how do we navigate that energy then? Because sometimes we're just not meant to force stuff. I mean, I know this society setup that we're disengaging from, those who are willing to anyway,
push.
The society wants you to push, and the culture wants you to push, and you got to push, and you got to be visible, you got to grind,
blood, sweat, and tears. And it's 11:11 right now. I'm just gonna point that out.
I love that. There's some angelic assistance right there. So cheers. Right, we're not meant to be like doing this grinding all the time. And that's what astrology teaches us, is when can you put that foot on the gas and have it go seamlessly as possible. But that's really what it's what
it's about, right? I mean, and I don't want to distract you, because I want you to stay on this theme, but it just so triggers my desire to like put it out there that this, even in tumultuous times, life can be so full of flow and fun and juiciness and so
yes. And we can attain that. But as we're winding down the year here, and we've got how many hours left, right? That we have just under 11 hours now, technically, in the East Coast zone, anyway. But we're in a very intense cycle of reflection from Venus retrograde.
Oh, talk more about that.
Which is what I mentioned at the beginning. And she's about our money, our finances, our relationships, what we value in our life. Now, she's also the planet that's going to be energetically in charge of 2022, but she's retrograde for the entire first month of it.
Wow.
Which is why we're feeling this wobbliness, like, whoa, my God, everything feels off balance. There's nothing, like, everything is off kilter. Everything.
So when we're tuning into Venus energy, what does she feel like? What is that energy that we tune into? Like, especially when she's retrograde. So like, let's sort of feel into it. What does Venus feel like, Sharita?
Well, she is normally, on her good
Yeah.
days, cruising
And
along.
on her,
She's like, yeah, she's all like, get your hair done and, feel pretty and go out and soak up nature, play some music, go paint a picture, enjoy the pleasures of life and, get romantic and, go out and spend a little money and just enjoy, just feel pleasures in your life and just feel that ease and happiness and love your relationships and all of these fun
delicious
things.
food, have some chocolate.
Yes, indulge with that, have some chocolate, little red wine with that, or whatever it is you like to accompany it with. And but when she's retrograde, she's in reflection, just like Mercury. If you know about Mercury retrograde, this is it's a similar request of it's a cycle of reflection, but unlike Mercury, Venus just guides different principles, which of course is also the finances and what we value and our relationships, besides all the deliciousness of life that she wants everything to be harmonious and balanced.
I love this.
When she's going reflection, she's like, well, you really shouldn't go get your hair cut right now if you can help it. Don't go spend a lot of money. I do prefer you donate to a charity or do something like that. That'll come back to you tenfold. But, let's not do beauty enhancements. Don't be renovating your house.
Don't get plastic surgery.
Oh, well, hello. Yeah, big on top of the list there. Yeah, because I think that's how, like, just to state the obvious, like you watch these celebrities, God bless them, get this work done on themselves, and then what happened to them? Like, what happened to your face? It changed. It's terrible. And I guarantee you they did these procedures under a Venus retrograde or some timing where it was just not going to turn out well. And
they weren't checking with you, Sharita. What the hell?
No, they did not check with their astrologer. And I know there's a lot of astrologers in Hollywood too, but apparently they didn't give them that advice because, like, what happened? Like, how did this go so, I mean, I don't know. Anyway.
No, I hear you. It's like, who is that? Oh, that's so-and-so. Oh.
No, God, some people, they don't even, and they're barely recognizable what they've changed.
Yeah.
To,
yeah.
Yeah, no, plastic surgery, big no under Venus retrograde. She doesn't want you to buy high ticket items when she's retrograde. She doesn't want you to do anything except reflect on your finances, reflect about your relationships, reflect on your values. Go take a walk in nature, absolutely, but don't try to, don't try
to make anything happen.
Don't put your foot on the gas in these areas.
Don't
don't get married under Venus retrograde. Do not start brand new relationships.
Don't sign contracts, right? Like, just like Mercury.
And because she also guides, yes, I was going to just touch base on the legalities. You don't, because she rules all justice, legal matters.
Oh.
So you don't want to be signing things into being right now that you want to have long-term success with. Just like a Mercury retrograde, the human errors connected to any of these matters are higher. They're thrown off. We make mistakes. I tell you a simple thing that I just did. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I had needed to buy, which, nobody writes real checks anymore, really. We're doing everything so digitally, but I still have a few things in my life I like to do checks for. And I was running out of checks. And I hadn't ordered checks in so long that the company was like, oh, you've got to go back to your bank and do it
through them.
Just do it with the bank and don't order them on the phone. So I went down there and I gave them all this, but then what they did was I got the checks in the mail and I think like, oh, I'm just reordering checks, no biggie. Well, and the woman and I didn't think of it either. We started I got the checks in the mail. They're all at the beginning, like the checks start back at 100. So I'm not at the, you're
not matching
in my life. So now I'm at the big, and I called the bank. I'm like, can I still use these? I'm like, these are at the beginning now. And they're like, oh yeah, because it's been so many years, it won't matter anymore. So it was just like a simple, human error, but I'm like, oh, look at me. I'm starting at the beginning now.
Well, what a refreshing, it's like a reboot in a way.
I'm like, all
of
right, I'll be at the
finances.
beginning of the bank account. Normally people judge your bank account by how many checks you've written, right? It's
I
like,
don't
oh, I've
know though,
written.
but what it means is the manifestations that you've been calling forth need a reset. It's like a true reset. It's like it's like a starting of the new year. You're starting of
Yeah.
the new account.
Yeah. So I'll take it for whatever that's worth at this point, but it was like just like one of those funny little things. And and I just try to, my best is, I like to reconnect. I'm trying to do a lot of things of reconnect this, and then we also want to know where Venus is retrograding in our life, in our charts. Like, where is this happening for us? Because there's one of the 12 areas, possibly two, depending if it breaks into a different, house cusp in your natal chart. But that's where you also really dive into this. Like, where is this Venus asking me to sit back, take a pause?
How do we find that out?
Another fabulous lexagram is a silent listen. Where am I supposed to take a silent listen? The word, you can never listen unless you're silent.
Oh, so show us, Sharita, how to tune into that, because I want to know right now, like, how to have my silent listen and find out where in my chart, in the areas of my life that I need to really take some time with Venus. Because I know what I'm being drawn to pay attention to.
Which,
and
you're so tapped in. Hang on, let me get your chart up. You're so tapped in. You already are doing it. I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. I mean, collectively for a Taurus, though, it's your belief systems.
Oh,
It's
well, and
where
I'm
you
in a deep dive right now with that. I just
stand in your truth. That's like, just if we looked at every Taurus, your belief systems is where all this is showing up for you to
core.
take your perspective. But on your natal chart, we're looking at, you're gonna have,
How cool is it, everyone, that Sharita just pulls up my chart? How lucky am I? See how cool it is to have her connected to your life? You got to work with her. You got to.
Let's see here. Yeah, so this is in your future.
Ooh.
The first part of it is happening in the future. You're, you've reconnected with old, someone from the past, which is friendships, your peers, your social scenes, what we call, but it's your future activation. So it's where you take anything that you have a hope. I never like the word hope anymore, because it's kind of energetically flat. I like the word faith a lot better. It's got just a more, like you say, a juicier vibe to it.
I'm totally with you on that.
Right?
Yeah, hope
Like,
does
let's
feel a
hold faith.
little.
So it's where, instead of having hope for the future, where are you holding faith for the future? Because I think that intention pulls in something a lot
more
faster.
powerful. Yeah, it's
more powerful than hope.
Hope feels almost like you're trying to convince yourself of something that isn't true. It's like, have hope.
I don't know. It just falls short for me now.
Yeah.
The other thing that happens.
Can you tell how look how frizzy?
Started. Huh?
It's all so humid. I'm just being a goofball.
Yeah, hello, like the weather. I mean, I know you're a lot further south than me in the cold Northeast, but it's not even cold here right now, which I suppose I'm sort of grateful for. But oh my God,
it's like almost 70 degrees.
It's so, yeah, the weather is, well, there's another like very does different areas of astrology than I do, but he's an astrologer colleague, Theodore White, and he had nailed it, predicted how wet and what was going to start to change here in the climate. And the wet is happening. Like, this decade of the 20s is much wetter than we are used to. And granted,
is there some sort of like Venus Yoni second chakra connection?
Well, this is, what's so I don't want to say disturbing, quote unquote, but this Venus retrograde is happening in an earth sign. It is happening in a sign that guides the root chakra, which is Capricorn.
Oh, that's so
So,
fascinating because I've been obsessed with like that's been a theme in my work is like getting to security, getting to the root, like having your stability and your feet beneath you, strength in your sense of core,
yeah,
you know, connection.
yeah, everything is, you know, and Capricorn, so that the, and if people go to my website, sharitastar.com, you'll see there's links to everything everywhere, all over the place. Have fun, explore. But there's
Play.
play, play. I'm a big writer, so I do a lot of blogging. You know, I have a soul certainty community on Patreon. I'm my personal, I want to get back to your story though.
It's
But
cool. It's all good. It's all delicious. I love it.
my personal homework, my soul homework as the astrologer, the numerologist, is this whole thing is happening with the Venus in my own creative nature. So I'm revamping everything I've ever done and reviewing it, reflecting upon it, and reestablishing it in the ways I need to, so that when we go under the shadow of everything, the shadow is the period after the retrograde, to correct everything and then put your foot back on the gas and push things, you know, not push them in a negative way, but just start pushing out in life again, you know, pressing on the gas, as we say. So February is going to be offering that.
So help me and the listeners sort of deepen into this, because I know for me, it's so uncanny how influenced I am in terms of like all of a sudden, it's like, you know, I reflect on the past few weeks and it's like, yeah, you know, the root chakra is a big deal to me. I like huge focus on relationship with finances. I was taking a really I am taking a really wonderful course with a wonderful abundance coach, Emma Burgess, and she's amazing. And there was a thing that she was playing with and I just thought was so delicious, and it's playing with the idea of abundance and the masculine energy. And I don't know if this is a common thread, but I had never tuned into it before, is the relationship you have with money is often like the relationships you have with men. And I had just never tuned into that before. And so I was just playing in that reflection.
I like this.
Yes. Oh, it's so, and I was like, oh my gosh. So there's only one man in my life where I don't have this relationship that's similar to the relationships I've had with men in the past. And so she's like, so if, you know, if you could talk to this sort of energy, what would you be saying? And so I was going through my reflection of like having this conversation like I've had with so many of the men in my life, my dad, my brother, you know. And then the energy of money was actually saying, you know, you got me wrong. You got me wrong. I'm actually here to play with you. Your wish is my command. And I was just like, oh my God. So the point is that I naturally was having a focus on like bringing more abundance into my life. Like last year was an incredible year for me. What's coming is really powerful. And I want that to be happening for everyone on the planet. I want people to, and I guess the point of asking you this is, do we have a natural inner nudge that guides us, or is this something that we have to cultivate, do you think?
And that's an excellent question. And I'll, because I want to use you as the great example to explain that further. Absolutely. People are following their forecast. They may not be optimizing it.
Ooh.
And that's how I always see this with people. Like they're always like, I don't tell them anything that shocking and, you know,
Mind
Oh my
blowing.
God.
Yeah.
But like they're all going like, wow, how do you know all this stuff that is going on with me is what they end up telling me, which is why I get this like people tell me I'm psychic. And I
Well,
and
it's
I
so
laugh at,
perfect though. It's because
and
you
I
know
laugh
it and
at
you
it because
remind
I'm not
them.
psychic. I'm just a math geek. And that's always my thing. I'm like, I'm just reading numbers and planets and I'm not psychic. I don't
But we
see your
get
dead
to be, but
grandmother,
you remind us. You remind us in a way that is it's timely, right? Like I think that's why.
Everything is about timing, though. Everything I tell you and teach you is your timing, and there is a formula. It's like it's like a mathematical equation, and your free will has the rulership over it. So we're either optimizing our time or we're wasting it in some way. And it doesn't mean it's gone and like, oh, that's a horrible waste of time. It's just we didn't
We're distracted. I like the word distracted.
yeah,
Yeah.
and oh my God, they're just, let's not even talk about what society has done to distract you.
Oh, right. Yes,
We
and
we're surrounded by distractions all the time.
so let's talk about that because that's kind of like a really, I think people are wanting answers about or ways of connecting with what's going on the planet in a way that makes sense. And so I mean, I'm sure you have insight into this sort of on a collective grand scheme level. I tend to tune into my sort of anthropology background and consider the cycles in terms of like historical cycles. And to me, this feels like an old cycle, a pattern that we as a human collective have gone through to me, it's like boring.
I'm just going to quote Sting. He says, history will teach us nothing.
Yeah.
But you better know your
chills.
human right, and you better know what you come here for.
Oof. Oof.
And those are like two things I forget. I think it's the song "History Will Teach Us Nothing." He sings those in the lyrics.
Sting.
He's so tapped in, Don. Whatever.
I have goosebumps all over.
As far as
yeah, and he's easy on the eyes.
On the Venus eyes. Hey, what else can you do? The man does yoga. What can you say?
I mean, come on. Oh my gosh. I was 12 years old and I saw the Police Synchronicity tour in 1984.
Wow, that must have been so cool. Wow.
Oh my, I was just like, oh, it was so big.
I've seen him solo a couple of times. I never got to see the Police, but
I would love to see him solo. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Incredible.
Solo stuff is when I got into him, and then I kind of like realized who the Police were because I just didn't have the influence of the Police yet. I had an older sister.
I had an older sister who was like, check this out. So that's how I got to know. I love the Police. But so what we're talking about in terms of the human conversation, again, that word choice or choice point comes in. And I see very quickly, easily triggered people who are like, but you gotta blah, 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 like you got to do this and this is happening and how dare you and blah, blah, blah. That's a side of the spectrum that to me feels so patterned and uninteresting. I think there's just what I'm doing as a soul is like, I've already done all of that as a soul. Like I've already been in pandemics. I've already died a million ways. Right.
Oh yeah. Talk about the past lives. This is triggered. My last life out was the Holocaust. I only made it to 6 years old. So talk about like the imprint of that in your soul and knowing in this human suit what's not up to snuff. Well, yeah, I been there, done that too.
And I'm reading the Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl right now.
That book is amazing. I always have that sitting out, and I like to just pick it up here and there. That book has been with me since I was in college. I should
have read it in college. Yeah, it's an amazing. written in 1952. I on it, like,
Yep.
I'm embarrassed to say that I didn't read it. And a client who I think is wonderful was like, it's her favorite book. But what's interesting to me, it's a very fresh take on a very painful experience. He talks
Painful
about,
thing.
he's talking about Auschwitz and what the experience
Yep.
was like, and
What happened there?
yeah,
Yep.
and his search for meaning, and a study really of the of how it really feels like a study of human behavior too, because it's observing human beings under the most abhorrent, stressful conditions, and observing who makes it, what
And who
happens,
doesn't?
who and
Yeah.
who doesn't, and really without judgment. It's really remarkable.
Yes, he has. Yeah, it's an amazing, which is something, just even bringing that into what 2022 is about. This energy that has catapulted in 2021 about, I mean, people are just throwing judgment around like it's,
It's
like a tossing
wild.
a
It's
freaking
like the
salad,
Wild
and I'm
West.
like,
It's like I
hello.
can be my worst self and think that I'm righteous about it.
It's amazing, but the judgment will not get anybody too far, at least successfully in
No,
what's,
oh, I agree.
you know.
And I don't know if this happens to you, Sharita, but this certainly happens to me. Whenever I'm triggered in that way and my worst self is like, in her full glory, I feel horrible.
Yeah.
I'll almost immediately have physical expression of that pain or
Yeah, like
negativity. It instantly comes into my family, in
yeah,
my
you
body.
feel it somewhere, like I mean, that's a lot of the things that, for maintenance.
Right.
One of my other colleagues is medium Adam Bernstein, and we do workshops together. And there's another healer. Actually,
Oh,
she's
cool.
on your big old island, Heather
Oahu.
Estara. And yeah, and that's where she is now. She's still on the island. Yep.
Oh,
And
uh-huh.
so the three of us do like workshops together all the time. We actually did a workshop. We've been doing them for, over since really we started doing them all together when the pandemic began.
Adam, what's his
In
last name?
Bernstein.
Bernstein.
And he's betweentheworlds.com is his website. Or no, it's Adam Between the Worlds, excuse me. His first name is tucked in there.
I just got visited by a spirit last night. I just intended just a total sidebar, but this is how fast manifestations can come sometimes. I was like, I'm ready to be more mediumistic. And then last night I was up and, someone's like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm like, are you in physical?
I haven't had those voices
or
yet.
not?
Well, they love talking to me in numbers. Like I get them. They show me birthdays and anniversaries, and I get things with the time, all the time, license plates, you name it, prices I pay for things. That's how they speak to me. They speak to me in my numerology language.
What's your favorite number, Sharita?
Oh, that's a hard thing to ask. I mean, it's a
Like,
hard
you
thing
can't
to
ask
answer.
me. You
Excuse
can't
me,
ask a numerologist.
You ask the question, not me. That's a hard question for me to answer because I love all the numbers. Like they all have their time and place, really,
That's such a beautiful answer though, like it's such a beautiful, I love that. I mean, especially for someone who had a shitty relationship with numbers as a child in math. And I was the opposite of you. I look at it and just go, oh, 7 speaks to me. I don't know why. Do you know why 7
spiritual
speaks?
number? It is. I mean, all numbers are spiritual. They all have energy to them, but 7 is the unknown. It's the psychic, it's the intuition, it's the soul work number, it's the healing number, it's the number that just soaks up the spiritual, delicious spectacle.
Well, no wonder I love that number.
Any other number. And I'm sure in your chart, I mean, I forget your life path. What are you, 19? I actually think you have a 7 life path, which would also explain your draw to it. Because it's like the ground beneath your feet, if that makes some sense.
Sort of.
Right?
No.
Um,
Spell it out
your
for
life
me.
path in numerology, and this is another, okay, well, we've gotten on every sidebar, but we said we're going to keep it organic.
We're in the field. We're just totally nimble in the
Just
field. We're just like
bouncing
boo,
all
boo,
over the
boo,
place,
boo.
having fun. Because here's the thing too. I don't think a lot of people are having much fun these days. So we might as well show them that it can still
This
be
is
done.
fun. Oh my gosh. I am
You know?
having so much fun with you. And this is how I have fun. Because I think when we're in the field of creation together, when our hearts are totally like aligned and wide open, we become like supercomputers. We can move through stuff.
And it's
so
not
quickly.
like, oh, we have to do the formality because that's what there's this other like stuff
the rules,
in a funnel, and you're supposed to talk this way when you do an interview, God bless.
Oh God, please no.
That's a little too, it's still 3D for me, and I do have I have a thing with the 3D. But no, when you're doing a life path, understand you've got so many numbers in your birth chart anyway, as from the numerical side of things, but you take everything together. Your life path number is adding everything up, and then you arrive at a compound number that gets reduced. Everything in numerology, you want to get the root of everything. It's just you add the compound numbers together to get what's the single digit, because everything's going to reduce down to 1 to 9. That's just math.
Well, and that's just energy too, right? Like when you
so then that becomes the numbers tell us what the energy is like, and what energy are you drawn to? What would you experience? So your life path number is everybody added up. It's the day, month, and the year all added up together, and that's what I call it your yellow brick road. Your life path is your ground beneath your feet. But the day of the month you're born on is your karmic path, and it's what gels with the astro side of you the most.
Oh.
And it's where your health is very foreseen, of what areas of weakness do you have? What areas do you want to strengthen in your body? What do you need to watch out for? Some people shouldn't be wearing black clothes, It just depends on who you are and how you're made up. I mean, you can do what I always say, I don't tell anybody what to do. This is the advice. You can follow it if you want. If you don't, great. If you don't like your experience, maybe you should take a look at what you're doing, and maybe you can, tweak some things, and then you're going to optimize things better. That's all this work really does. It helps you optimize what your experience already is. You're following it anyway.
Yeah.
You might as well have
like
it more.
What your impulses are leading you to are a part of that expression too. I mean, what I hear you saying, it's an honoring, if you feel called to it. It's what's funny, and I don't even really want to spend a lot of time on it, is just how people who are not resonant with it feel the need to somehow participate. And it's like, why does that matter? Like, if you don't resonate, like, keep on walking.
Exactly.
I'm not hanging out with chemists and mathematicians.
You about your own life. And these people who want to cast judgment and argue with you about everything, and I'm like, okay, that's not for me. I'm sorry. If you want to learn about yourself and agree with that, or work on it, and
it's like being offended. It's like being offended by it's like being offended by like I'm not somebody who like, what's a thing that I don't really spend a lot of time on. I'll just say, like, chemistry and mathematics. Like, it would be like going into somebody who's having like an esoteric conversation about math or chemistry, and they're just really juicing on it, and then me going like, I don't see that has any applicability to my life whatsoever.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, and I only say that
we're not into Debbie Downers,
no.
To use that little expression. But it's interesting as you were talking before. So what I wanted to finish, because I like to finish what I start sometimes.
Honey, I want you to finish, honey.
But you have, so that whole Venus retrograde thing currently cruising is in this future area of your life. So you're reassessing what you want your future to look like. That's the first portion of the Venus
Absolutely.
retrograde program.
Yes.
And she started her retrograde December 19th, and she
Okay.
will conclude it on January 29th. So that's 6 weeks. That's why it's a
Wow.
long one and it's a little more intense.
Oh.
But on the website, you'll see it's mastering Venus retrograde in Capricorn. Then you'll see the mastering the value of compassion, which is the theme of this year. And we'll touch base on that more, why we need the compassion so bad. And how that's going to help us heal things that are, out of alignment right now.
Uh-huh.
That have become out of alignment, seriously. So all that's there there's so many tidbits and tips and what you do under Venus, what you don't do, this, that, what's happening with the year, all there.
So when do we start? Like if we were going to launch something, because it sounds like I'm wanting to launch something right at the very end of that, but during that time. So should I bump it out to afterwards?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why you don't want to do it under the Venus, but then you've got what happens mid-January on the 14th is Mercury joins the retrograde party. So then you've got in the middle of January. I'll say this for anybody who's willing to listen to this right now. I don't know what your January plans are.
Okay.
In fact, there was a guy arguing with me about, if you have backup plans, that means you intend to fail. And I'm like, you don't understand why you would need them when it's a thing like overlapping retrogrades.
Oh yeah, just like flow. It's an opportunity to flow into a different direction.
And I always use this example about understanding retrogrades. The Titanic was set sail when it was Mercury retrograde.
Oh shit.
The only major moneymaker of that time era that did not get on that boat was Andrew Carnegie, because he listened to his astrologer, Evangeline Adams.
Whoa, I have chills.
He said, don't get on that boat. Don't get on the boat.
Holy crap.
He was the only one who lived. The rest of them sank.
Holy crap. All right. Well, that's an incentive.
Pardon?
I said, well, that's an incentive.
And it's like the biggest historical example I could just, everybody.
That's a Mercury and Venus. It was a Mercury and Venus.
That was just Mercury at the time. Yes, it was just a Mercury.
Okay.
There was other obviously energetic things in the play book, but the Mercury was the most important.
Just think of what a huge event that was on the culture. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So then what's a juicy time to do? So we have the retrograde, and then we go into the shadow where things start to adjust. And then a good time to launch a program is when?
Well, you can do things under the shadow. That's one thing to clarify. You want to, and I also clarify, we're not under the shadow before the retrogrades ever happened. And everybody uses that term, and it's very incorrectly utilized in astrology.
Okay.
It's called the approach. So we were under the approach to Venus retrograde starting on November 17th. She started retrograding on December 19th. So that period was, the approach is your preparation.
Oh, okay.
Get your ducks in a row. Get everything done. Know that this is going to be reflecting in this particular area of your life, so you can get everything like all situated to the best of your ability. You're still going to be surprises. I could personally tell you, I prepared everything I prepared for, I'm not even using. I got other issues. So, surprise, surprise.
But you got a clogged pipe to deal with.
Then we got that. That's probably very representative. I shouldn't even go there, and I won't. So, but anyway.
Draw your conclusions. I love double entendres.
Hey, what can I tell you, folks? That's a whole nother topic of conversation. But needless to say, what will happen in mid-January? So what just happened 2 days ago on the 29th of December, we started the approach to the Mercury retrograde as Venus is doing her ditty already. So we're pulling into another retrograde cycle that will commence on the 14th of January.
So we're going to feel it. We're going to feel the approach a couple days before, and then we're going to be like, oh, And then it's going to hit full throttle on the 14th.
So Mercury stations a few days, couple days before. Basically, when a planet is about to retrograde or turn direct, we call it stations. It like literally, it's just not moving. It's moving a little, but it's not moving far, which means it's sitting on a degree point in the zodiac, and it just sits there.
Does it feel like stagnation a little bit?
That's where we pull in all this stagnation from.
Because
there's that energy of the planet isn't moving anything. It's
there's
barely,
a thing.
I mean, it's like my clogged drain. It's like, water is coming through on the opposite and bank side, but it's like trickling out, it's not flowing. It's blah.
That happens in Hawaii. I don't know if you were ever there during the Kona, like when the direction of the trade winds changes and it comes from the direction of the Big Island through the island chain, it becomes stagnant, and you can feel like it's, Kona, you just feel it, and everything gets stagnant and stale. And I think, people can relate to that who are in Hawaii. So shout out. But that feeling, I think anybody can relate to that feeling. When I know, sort of from a healership standpoint, and psychological standpoint, an emotional place where people have that sense of stagnation. What do they want to do? They want to force an outcome. They are so uncomfortable in that not knowing.
They're uncomfortable in the pause, and nobody wants to do this because, again, society has the average programmed thing. Let me shove another distraction in your face.
Let me grind it out.
The next shiny object here. Pay attention to this. Don't pay attention to yourself. We are so not allowed to pay attention to ourselves anymore.
Yeah.
They don't want you paying attention to yourself. They don't want you to honor your individuality.
So
you got to be like everybody else.
And it's so, I think too, from a introspective point of view, I think there's in that resistance, because people are being called to pay attention to themselves in this deep introspective way. I mean, not only is it winter, then all of these other elements are at play. And then society has all of these shiny, lures to pay attention to.
Or and really just fear. It's not even like what they're throwing at us is, like you say, it's not interesting anymore. It's so boring, and we're done. We've done this all before, and all they're doing
come
is
here for
fear
that
down your throat. Let's just shove more fear, because that makes people do the same thing.
Right. Well, and I think too, people are in the discomfort. People are afraid to step out of their comfort zone. And people have been comforted by. It's sort of like when we're shifting negative patterns of behavior, we acknowledge that even though it feels like crap, we're comfortable in it, because staying small helps us to keep in our protective bubble. And if we're feeling afraid, if we're feeling like it's a difficult step forward, or we're unaccustomed to really putting ourselves out there, that it feels easier to just be in the fetal position.
Yeah.
So we're in that choice point. We get to decide.
We still get to decide. I mean, we're lucky enough that we're still allowed to do that. I mean, I know in this environment right now, a lot of people are not in that position of still feeling like they have a choice anymore.
Right.
And that's a hard position to be in.
That's desperately awful.
That's where this compassion coming into full play. As this year really, I mean, I don't think people quite understand it, how much compassion that is necessary in this universal year. And not that people are, I'm not accusing humanity of never having compassion, but we're going to need to draw upon it like we've never drawn upon it in a really long time, because everywhere we're going to look, and you're going to hear about these stories of people like, what? And there's
challenging. It's going to challenge us.
Yep. And so all of that needs to situate. And why the month out of the year is the first month out of the gate. This is not, I've used the expression, this is not a hit the ground running universal new year. Like how we're all like, happy new year, I'm excited, la, la, la,
Yeah, I'm gonna hit the ground running. I'm gonna have everything in play for that day one.
This energy, I'm sorry, is no. It wants us to reflect, and it wants us to take this pause and stop running.
Yeah.
Stop running after any of it that doesn't really resonate anymore. I mean, and like you say, like, okay, we're going to stay small in the little, and I got to stay here because that's how, God, that feels better, but we've got to remove all of this shackling that is not, we got to get rid of all this stuff.
It's not truth. It's
and none of it was given to us in the truth in the first place. It's all illusion,
It's all illusion. That is it. Yeah. Well, and what's so beautiful, I think, too, about the compassion component that you're bringing in here is so missing in our conversation, and we're capable of it. I think what's very interesting is I see it in my work all the time, in self-reflection and also in my work with clients, is we can be so triggered and in a place of judgment, but literally just a deep breath away from having compassion and expansion and unconditional love in just the very next moment.
It's so true.
Yeah, we forget. And so we tell ourselves, we start to believe the stories about what it is to be human and that I'm just this kind of person. We start to believe things about our own personality, like, oh, that's just me. And it's like, wouldn't you rather have the ability to become whoever you want to become? Yeah.
I mean, we have our tendencies as human beings are, there's an expression in astrology, the stars compel, they don't incline, which means you're not like fated for, oh my God, I'm this way and I can't ever change and I'm doomed. No, that's not what any of this is about.
Not at all.
There's a positive way, but you have a particular strength that the person standing next to you, sitting next to you, whatever, doesn't have because they're not you.
Yeah.
And so none of us can be the same. Like we're all humans. We all have hearts. We all need to love, to evolve, like all those fun things. But
which is why we're here in the human experience. This is why we're participating.
That's why we decided to be here for this thing.
We wanted to be here. We wanted
to be contracted to this time to watch this healing go on.
Oh,
as much as, it's a little daunting. I mean, and hey, it's challenging watching people you love struggle. It is not easy. But if they don't want to take the silent listen, there's not a lot you can do. You can't force people to do things either. They have to do that, go right back to that surrendering you're talking about before. If they don't want to surrender to what needs reflecting on, that's going to be their journey until they're ready to be the student.
Totally. It's like, it's again, that same kind of thing. Like, there's no reason to get up in arms about it. It's just like, cool. That's right. That's right.
It does not affect my personal energy. I want willing people who want to make positive change in their life. That is who I need and want to work with. If you're gonna sit and try to blame and point fingers and complain, I'm not the person for you.
Yeah, no, that's not your work. I am 100% in that same, like, I am so into playing with people who are ready to evolve their own consciousness in the collective of this planet. And, I don't have any illusions about where I've come from. I have had dark lives. I make mistakes all the time. I'm not perfect and I don't have to be. I get to be.
Perfection is, that was one of the, I just shared that I shared yesterday. perfection is another like bogus bunk thing.
It is.
There's no such thing. It's
No.
like perfection is just one moment in time when your house is clean and then somebody comes in with mud on their feet. You know, that's it. It's like buying the new car and running it off the lot and it's not perfect anymore. People are so caught up in perfection. That is ridiculous. That is the first thing they've got to debunk, because they're never living their life in joy if they're chasing perfection.
Absolutely.
There's no joy in chasing perfection.
No. Well, and so I think that's
a moment in time.
That's a beautiful reminder. And I think people do sometimes it's tricky for people because there's so much guilt around feeling good and joyful and having fun and all of that. And there's like, it's got to be a grind. I feel guilty when I'm feeling so much joy and playfulness. And how do we let go of that as a culture? I mean, I am so committed to that.
Detachment. It's a huge detachment of the collective right now, which is, I did another interview recently with Dr. Julie Kroll, and she had a great expression, and I just loved what she came up with. She's like, we're hospicing the old and we're midwifing the new right now. Like isn't that just such a powerful statement?
Yes, it's exactly what it feels like.
We're all still hospicing this way that we thought everything was supposed to be like, and we were either, I want to say bamboozled by, or, falsely led to the illusion of, oh, this is the way it's supposed to be. But
we had blinders on.
We're midwifing this. No, we're not here to be miserable. We're not here to struggle. I mean, it's like society has just set it up, and it's a global thing. It is not just here in America. And that's another whole topic for another day about America and what we're dealing with right now as a country, let alone what the world is contending with. It's just amazing, but it's still in my head. I have to get back to this for you so that the rest of your Venus retrograde story. Right after,
and Sharita, I want you to come back on for a part 2. During January, during the double retrograde, maybe that's what we need to start doing. That is having you at very poignant times, and
when things are real murky,
real juicy. And how to get the juice out of real reflection.
It's the juiciest reflection you're going to get there in January. Let me tell you, folks.
Yes.
I cannot lie about that. So on January 8th, Venus is going to leave the area of your life that is about the future goals and your friends and all this reflection and reviewing you've been doing in that space. And then it's going to back into your career and your public life. And what you do to be recognized and rewarded for your work. So it's where she's going to finish from January 8th through the 29th of January. She's going to
there's that huge wow.
So that's the remainder of her retrograde for you. So you're also going to revamp, work stuff and what you do. So we would not be the time to launch anything. It would be the time to get everything like, okay, I want to do this in February. I want to do this come March.
So I've got something I'm launching. So we're doing a training, me and Jen Catlin, who I train hypnotherapists. We're doing that in March. We have a March 7th that we're enrolling in now.
Oh, that's nice. Good, nice waxing phase there. That's going to be great. Yeah.
And so would February 1st be?
February 1st is still okay. So we didn't finish the Mercury part.
Yeah. Because I need to tell my launching person.
So we pull into mid-January and we've got Mercury stationed by the 14th, turns retrograde.
Yes.
We'll start off at the very, he starts off 10 degrees of Aquarius, but then it's just as Venus is turning around on the 29th, he goes back and no, he does it about a week before. 25th of, I think it's the 25th of, let me just make sure here.
Of Feb?
There's so many dates crisscrossing all over the place. Mercury goes back into, yes, it's the 25th of January. So Mercury on his retrograde dance goes back into Capricorn on the 25th of January. So then you've got Venus and him simultaneously retrograding in Capricorn at the same time.
Okay.
One's at one end of it, one's at the other.
So is it better to launch something
on the 14th? He backs up into Capricorn, and they're not on top of each other at least, but they're in the same sign. And then by the 3rd of February is when he turns around.
So if I were to launch like a pretty epic offering, what's the ideal?
At least wait until after the 3rd
of February.
Yeah.
Okay. 3rd of February.
Because otherwise you're just so caught up in
I was thinking you were going to say March. Okay. So we can do February.
You can do February. You're still going to have some kinks. The energy in February is still going to be kind of wonky, but at least those two planets will be going. She'll turn around the 29th of January. He turns around about 4 days later on the 3rd.
So then if we were going to do anything in February, bear with me, people, maybe this is juicy for you. What's like, so February, like I really am not attached to what I'm just curious what you think.
When anything would be going. And I'm also, so you're in, and I just want to get your,
because this is a mastermind.
I just want to tie in a number for you too, because let's see, you're the 19th. So you are in your 2-year right now. Honestly, March may be the better time frame for you.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's more of a leveraging.
Uh-huh.
You're still going to be establishing a bit of a foundation by the time February rolls in.
Okay.
But you're moving into your 3-year come, May this year.
Which means what?
You're moving into your year of growth and expansion. So you're in a 2 personal year right now. So you're nurturing all the seeds that you planted 2020 through last spring. And so this has been like, you've been tending and
cultivating.
You're cultivating. Well, you're not cultivating. Well, I guess you're cultivating, but you're just putting water on the seeds. So there's been a lot of emotional healing for you in many, aspects in your life. And you're doing that nourishing of all the new beginnings that 2020 to 21 brought in for you. And then, so that's been what's been happening. And now you're going to find, things are going to start to lift up. You're going to notice that the seeds that you've planted in 2020 are going to start growing out of the ground much more past May of this year, obviously, because you don't click into your cycle until May. You still got this. You still have the soul homework of your 2-year to finish between now and May 19th. So,
oh my gosh, it feels so good.
March is a 5-month for you where things are going to be blossoming and leveraging. So I would see you having more effect upon the masses and just things like shooting in different places.
Cool.
So you may discover you want to even take the doubling of the shadow work that's going to be going on from Venus, from Mercury, and just make sure you got everything energetically the way that you want it. At the very beginning of March, we have another new moon. So it's really like March is when we feel like, oh my God, there's some relief in the universe. I feel like I can put my foot back on my gas again, that kind of thing. It's going to be a very, it's a challenging time in January. I don't want to put that in anybody's head like, oh, it's fear and it's terrible and it's awful. It's just, there's a lot of stagnant,
Mm-hmm. And that just happens in life. We all have to go through that.
It wants us to reassess so much, and it wants us to take that silent listen and do our best to just navigate what we need to navigate. Stop the grinding, stop this forcing of anything that doesn't want to work. Granted, things will need repair, like getting your pipe unclogged, certain things like this, but
I cannot wait till the flow of that. Like, it just feels
I
like
can't
that
wait
pond.
for this pipe to flow too. Let me tell you, because I'm telling you, this pond, I don't need a new river in my lawn, because that's how,
You found out about it?
No, no, no. I just found out about it. 'Cause I keep an eye on everything here, So, I mean, I just noticed, I was like, wait a minute. Oh my God, there's nothing going down the pipe. What the hell's going on? And I was like, oh no, this isn't good. And then I noticed how high the pond was in certain spots. And I was like, oh. And so if we get more snow here and we get all this stuff happening by the spring, I will have the water will have to go somewhere. So it has to go down that pipe again.
Oh
So like I
my
said, we're
gosh.
taking bets on what's in the pipe. We think it could be a turtle. We're not sure.
How
I
big
mean,
is this pipe? Yeah, I mean,
it's a
I'm.
huge, like 10-inch diameter pipe.
You think it's a
an
dead body?
iron. I hope it's not a dead body, but it
Not
could be a dead
human.
body of an animal. I
Yeah,
don't
of an
think there's
animal.
any humans in there, but
Oh God, no.
not unless somebody did something I don't know about. But I don't think a human could.
No, 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 no. Well, I mean, pipes need to be cleaned, just like retrogrades need to be honored, or they don't. And you get and then you get the result.
You get well, what I always notice with the retrogrades, if like people go, oh, blah, blah, and they push it off like a
yeah.
And I'm like, but if you don't honor reflection, you're just going to get frustrated, because these retrogrades, they're all set up kind of like sleeping. And it doesn't mean that we like sleep and ignore everything and shut everything out, but it's a recharge.
Yeah.
These retrogrades come and cycle from astrology so that humanity has the timing tools they need to recharge.
Yeah.
And when we sleep, we recharge. If you didn't sleep, and I know that's like another topic too, because everybody's like, I'm not sleeping right now. Everything is such an energetic mess. I'm like, yeah, because you're not moving the energy through your body, and you need to do this. You need to do that. Was going back to Adam before. We've been doing workshops and stuff, but he does these marvelous energy transmissions and moves this gurgleness, murkiness, stagnationness out of us as best as possible.
Wow.
But we've got to up the ante on our spiritual dedication as well. These times take extra spiritual effort and to get through it.
Yeah.
Doing the little societal norm thing is not going to get you through. It's going to pull you down. That 3D only life is just going to weigh you down.
And I think people are looking externally for what they can really only find internally.
No, and I cannot express that enough, Nora, about the first month of this year wants that internal. Just take the time, and as scary as it may be, that's why they have people like you to help them through this stuff and clear it out and start paying attention to what you have ignored for so long. Because if we keep ignoring all this stuff and stay in denial, we're never going to get healthy. We have to get healthy again.
Well, and it's like an update. It's like a needed update on your electronics. Our bodies need downtime and rest to reboot. And so if you don't take the update, you don't take the rest, you don't just just still yourself, still your energy to match the energy that is surrounding us. It's stillness. Stay with it, play with it, be in that state. Get crystals. I just got a really cool crystal. Cherish this you time.
I got everything. I mean, they're all over the place. I mean, everywhere.
I hear you, sister. I had my new one right by the bed, so I don't have it right here. But we are going to need to close this up. But I want whoever's watching this to really enjoy taking the time to listen to what Sharita is telling us. She is bringing wisdom from the stars, from the energy, and it's translating it right for your doorstep so that you can take it on board and improve the situation that you have going on. Honor, if you feel called to, the energies of the stars, and honor yourself, because this is a powerful time of creation, manifestation, recharging, recalibration. And I love you, Sharita. I love all of you
I
out
love you too,
there.
my dear.
I believe
Thank you.
in what we're doing and what people who are being attracted to this show right here is being drawn to. Just know that there are people in your ball court that are here to help and support you. There's so much support. You don't have to live life the way you see it playing out externally. There's so much more joy and delight and playfulness and happiness and abundance to experience. And I'll let you have the last word, my dear.
I'm just going to say, never compromise, living consciously.
Ooh, love that.
And may you walk into 2022 with the intention to be mastering the value of compassion. Oof. And I think that's all that could be said.
I'm gonna quote you and put that in the description box on the show, because that is just so perfect and beautiful. And I am so thrilled to have you on the show. This is the first show of the year.
We're gonna do this again soon.
So yeah, we're gonna have you on for part 2 when we're really in the thick of it. And you know, and please comment, subscribe, share this with your friends if you feel like it will be helpful. And Sharita, give all of your contact stuff. Of course, I'm going to put it in the description box, but I'm sure people are going to want to know how to get a hold of you for these crazy times.
Get a hold of, you can find everything to explore and discover, and whatever it is that you'd like to do with it at sharitastar.com is my website.
And it's star with 2 R's.
No,
1 R. I'm spelling it wrong.
No, that's a Facebook thing on the personal profile page, because I already had the page and the brand name. They wouldn't let me use.
Sorry, people. Okay, so spell it for people like.
So it's Sharita, SHARITASTAR.com is the regular website.
Yes.
But yes, there is the confusion, and it's just the way it is, because I obviously changed my name because I'm a numerologist, and that's how this works. But when it came
and
to
it's
the
an awesome name
profile versus the business, my business page is everything you'll find on the internet is Sharita Star. You'll find that. But the personal page on Facebook is R on the star, because it's the only way they let me have it. Like, it's just this glitch, algorithm thing, whatever it is that they have their whatever.
Oh, got it. Okay.
But that's why that personal page is 2 R's. It's nothing. I can't get around it. And there was just one friend one day who was like, let's try this. And it worked. So we kept it.
I kind of like it with the R. I don't know why.
It changes the whole vibration though, which is not the right vibration, but whatever. That's not my brand name. It's just the personal page. But
yeah, you're not going to do the wrong
put out
vibration.
all the fires in the world. Sometimes you just got to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Well, what's cool is we get to talk all of this time about your brand and your name. And so people are going to just come flooding to you. What I was going to say something, but now I totally forgot. Hang in there, people. Connect with compassion and love, and be good to one another, and reach out. You don't have to do this by yourself. Contact me if you're wanting one-on-one work. You can go to my website, younghypnotherapy.com, schedule a discovery call with me, and we'll figure it all out. Or join my Conscious Goddess Level Up group. I have a Facebook group that I'd love for you to join if you're a woman or identify as female, and you would like to have a group where you're focusing on consciousness and leveling up. Please join that group. And until next time, thank you so much, Sharita.
Thank you again, and Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
Happy New Year. All right.